Hello everyone, welcome. First impressions of okay, I'm not gonna do some weird time joke here. Time of Eternia for the PS3. This game, this game got horrible reviews in Japan. And I picked it up solely because I figured it's Bandai Namco's game, but it wasn't being published in America by Bandai Namco. Actually, the Disgaea Cradles have published it for America. And that, I think, actually was a smart idea. Because I don't know about Bandai Namco's original idea of how it all went, but I think Disgaea Cradles were the only real way to save this game for America. This game got horrible reviews in Japan, and obviously, as first impressions, we want to take kind of a look here. The game, if you got on launch, you got a soundtrack. And actually, crap, I left that in my car. Anyway, it was just a soundtrack with a few tracks. You have a black and white booklet with 2 languages. Not too much to really see inside, which is a bit of a shame, because I really like it, especially with Kyoto pages to be in color. But anyway, so what is this game? Because if you look at videos and that, it's very odd. It's not... I like how it describes as a new class of high-definition animation RPG. And I think that's actually a perfect way of describing it. It's like an anime. Like, these were hand-drawn. Hand-drawn anime in a video game. And that's what everything is. Pretty much. Aside from the world you went on. It's kind of a weird 2D with some 3D shit. It's a little weird like that. But anyway, let's start with the story, because I think that is the biggest thing. Now, I will warn, there will be early spoilers. As in, the beginning. So, I mean, if you want to force impressions, I don't think that's weird, but I guess if you really find the first 10-15 minutes some horrifying sin, I guess can't help you. Warning, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Anyway, so you start off, guy, girl talking, they're gonna get married, blah blah, some friends come in, blah blah blah, and then they go get married. An assassin's coming, kill him! And then the bride turns pissed off, kills all the assassins, and then everything goes fucking weird. So basically, the bride has 2 souls inside her. One is tame and very womanly, and the other one is violent. And apparently, they can go back in time. So they're talking to each other, basically saying, we need to go back in time and stop this shit. This stuff needs not happen. And what's sad is the groom is actually still partially alive and consciously hearing this stuff. And also, it is very important to mention, the groom is perverted. Like, not horrifyingly evil perverted, but he is definitely perverted. So anyway, they go back in time, and before all this happened, she had a fortune that said somebody would die at a wedding. So she went back in time to talk to that person. And it was in a forest. And what's weird is the groom is commenting on all this, and he's a little below where you think his vision would be. And you might be like, well, you just say it was perverted, but no. Interestingly, the bride has a pet dragon that somehow the groom became. He is now this dragon that cannot speak English, and he's just basically hearing all these conversations and knowledge and things he should not know at all. And I only mention he's perverted, so you can probably always see what the humor is going. I can't talk to anyone. All these women are talking about things they don't want me to know. And, oh my gosh, womenly thing. Yeah, there's a lot of fan service in this game. I hope you're expecting that. Actually, though, I have to throw something out. While the bride's friends seem to be all stereotype kind of fan service characters. I have to actually appreciate the red-haired, timid part of the bride's personality. Her actual design is not actually over-sexualized. The worst thing in that department is that she does have a short skirt. Aside from that, it's not like anything, she's actually designed like perhaps a human being instead of some cow creature that'll be actually in my next force of questions. Oh, good luck ever guessing that without watching that. Anyway. But her friends, 2 of them to be more exact, are pretty much fan service characters, while the third one's just a brat. But anyway, they get all kinds of weird mixed humor and stuff. So I'm pretty sure that's the way this humor is going to go. The story, there is so much unknown right now. And of course, being a first impressions, we're not going to know any more about that in this video until I beat it and we do a review of it. But it seems like a pretty interesting setup. Humor's pretty good if you're interested in perverted torture of the guy never being able to get or do anything and tortured like obsessively without anyone actually knowing they're doing it. Like the running joke is, "Hey Drakey, you want to go take a bath?" It's like, "A bath?" "Oh my, Drakey seems to be foaming at the mouth. Oh good, he can make the bubbles." But he never actually gets in the bath or anything, or as far as I've been, so I don't know on that part. But yeah, that's kind of humor we're going here. Now we'll deal with the people who did Disgaea, who doing the English dub for this. Absolute batshit crazy. And that's why I said they could be a good thing. Because while I do like things to be pretty true to their Japanese counterpart, sometimes it is necessary and can be beneficial to change it. I've talked before in the World Eaters game they did on the PS2 where Gig was this quiet, serious dude in Japan, but he is just absolutely insane, like crazy insane in the American version. Just total flip his personality. And I'm not really sure if they're doing any of that with the characters in this. I'm not sure if they're being true to their Japanese counterparts or if they decide to twist them a little. Who knows? But either way, they're all crazy. Especially the little girl. Oh my gosh, she's batshit crazier than all of them. The story so far, I really love running into the fan club. I won't tell you what they're a fan club of because I'll leave that as a surprise. I think that'll be charming. But you'll meet this fan club of idiots who so far I keep running into, and they are just hilarious. I can't wait for you to meet them if you get this game. Hilarious. I think the voice works pretty good. Some of the lip syncing with the animations is a bit touchy. Most of the humanoid people, it's not bad, but Drakey is just wow. Now, of course, there is something someone actually pointed up in the argument of Drakey's lip syncing. Drakey, when he's thinking, well, the English dialogue, he's thinking. But in the other killer's perspective, he's like, it's like, so you could argue that it's just the blabber of what they're hearing and not his inner monologue. After all, he is thinking it. So, subjective. So far, Drakey is the only one I've seen. I've seen like 2 humanoid mouth lip syncings that were a little iffy. Not too horrible. Animations are really good except for battle. And the combat is, of course, the other thing. It's all RPG. So what we got to talk? This is not turn-based. It's live action, one-on-one at a time. Sometimes there will be multiple monsters, but you will fight each monster one-on-one. Now, well, actually, I guess technically it would be 2-on-1 since Drakey is a party member but he's weak as fuck, so I don't know if he ever becomes anything incredibly important in combat. But anyway, so here's the problem with the animations of Bao. Okay, battle system is actually very interesting, and it would be so good, actually, in an interesting way, if there wasn't like weird parts of lag. And it's probably because of the high quality animation. I'd say it's really good animation. That this is a big undertaking, in my opinion, to have like all this animation in it. I don't think there's been a lot of awesome stuff like this since like Lunar games. But the bigger thing is the animations are in combat, not just simply the story aspects like Lunar. We're like talking about it actually being everything as part, as opposed to like just cutscenes. It's the dialogue, it's the communication, it's the talking, it's running on the field, it's in combat, it's everywhere. And then combat is laggy, which is harmful to combat since it's real time and timing is important. You need to dodge, block, and attack. Now, so far, I don't have a lot of skills, but there's potential for a lot of interesting things. Under a normal attack, so it's ranged and close up. You have a rifle and you have daggers. Now, here's something that's bizarre. Remember, the bride character who is the main character and isn't, like, the story aspect seems to really make the male character the main character, but all the combat and moving around with the bride, so it's kind of a conjoined main character role. But basically, the personalities each have a different stat growth. The timid personality with red hair likes the rifle and has better stats with range, while the angry, violent personality is better with daggers and close-up range. They have stat growths in those particular stats that reflect them. They also have two different types of skill trees that you can invest points in to learn new skills. And you basically have an SP meter during combat to do special skill, to spend using those special skills in combat. Now, like I said, you can dodge, and being real time, that's very important. You can dodge the sides. If you want to go in range, go backwards. Or if you want to go close up, go forward. But be careful if you want to keep going ranged, because you can't just keep jumping backwards. Once you've jumped backwards before, and if the enemy comes close, you can't jump backwards again. You can only jump backwards twice if at the start you go forward and then jump and jump. From basically those 3 points in combat, and you start in the middle and the enemy starts on the other end. So, if you move back, you're trapped in that corner. Now, there are skills that push the enemy. I saw in the video, one of the rifle skills push the enemy backwards. So, I've seen a few of the skills, and there's a lot of interesting skills that can make combat very interesting. And combat, I do like the combat, but it would be so much better if the lag wasn't there. So much better. I can't tell you how I had to adapt to. You have to really adapt to it to get good with the combat. And another weird aspect is, as I said, the two personalities, the souls. So you might be like, what, do I switch between them in combat? And that would be actually incorrect, because you can't do that in combat. That actually happens when you level up. When you level up, whoop. Now the game did mention that there was a fruit you can get that you can't use in combat that can also switch the two souls' command of the body. I'm assuming that is a much later item, I would assume. So leveling up early on is the only way to switch between the two. Now, a really nice thing I have to say I've noticed in the menus when you're equipping gear is you can either assign gear to be for both souls or individual. So when they swap, that gear just stays on that one, and whatever you signed on the other souls gets equipped. So that's really nice. So you don't have to just keep, I got a weak gear, leveled up, got a weak gear, because you want to, obviously take advantage of what they're good at and try to obviously neglect any negative effects. that the character may have. Elements haven't really played a part, but there is elemental stuff. The timid personality has fire magic, but I didn't get to learn it yet, because here's something that's kind of weird. Remember I told you there's like a skill tree kind of thing? You learn stuff, put points in? Well, when you put a point in, the points in to learn something, you don't learn it immediately. You actually learn it when you level up, which means they swap, which means you can't use that new skill until you level up again. A little odd. So you're going to have to plan investments before level ups, or you will have to wait even longer. And that's slightly odd. Now, this looks like it's going to have multiple endings. There's this affection meter for the 2 different souls for the main male lead who's trapped in Drakey's body. So there's probably multiple endings. Probably at most, one for both, and probably some middle thing or true ending or something like that. To my understanding, it does have like a new game plus mode, so once you beat the game, you can probably carry most of your stuff back in and try for another ending or something. And unless somebody finds out an abusive way to manipulate the gauge, which is possible. That, like in Catherine, people found out a perfect way to basically adjust the gauge for every single ending at a certain point in the game, so it's highly possible that might come up for this game too. So, overall, what do I think of this game? I think it's an interesting experiment. Like I've said before, I will always give credit to a game willing to try something unique as opposed to the same sloppy shit we've seen for years. This game is certainly doing something bizarrely odd. There was a lot of interestingly bizarre ideas. The problem is they're not all polished nicely. The lag in the combat is very, very, I mean, it's not horrifying, but I could see some people, obviously have a bigger issue with that. I gotten used to it. Other people, it might actually possibly be a break for them. But in the end, I recommend trying this game if you're looking for something different, odd, or bizarre from the norm. And if you like kind of a weird, pervy story, anime kind of stuff, the storyline seems to be perfectly in that alley. So I think it's worth a try if you want something really different. If you want normal turn-based RPG in Japanese style, you're not going to find it in this game. This game is not that. This is a different. It is a new class of high definition. Oh! My shins. Okay, but yeah, I think it's worth a try, definitely. But obviously, that's just first impressions, of course. Keep that in mind. So, let me know what you think of the game if you happen to have gotten it, or if you have any questions and, all the same old, feel free to leave a comment down below or wherever YouTube decides to move the comment box. One of these sides has the comment box. 5 years later, it appears on the top. Okay, anyway, until next time, everyone, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.